Welcome to LoadXplode. I don't like entrances. They intimidate me a little bit. Thank you, team. Check that guy's wallet. It looks like he's got a backpack. No, I'm really excited to be here. This is the World Golf Fitness Summit. This is the epicenter of golf fitness and performance, and I can't tell you enough about how excited I am to be here. But we're not just here. This is a big event. What I decided to do this year, which is a little bit different, I thought this is such a big thing that we should be able to really, get. Can you guys turn off the computer? I forgot to turn off my notifications.
That's a big opener.
Matthew, I'm kind of busy, buddy.
It's a little too big.
A little too big? Dude, it's the World Golf Fitness Summit. Of course I'm going to go big. You can't even see me, dude. You're in your car.
I can do whatever the heck I want.
I'm not saying you can't do what you want.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, go big or go home. You go home.
I can respect that.
Wow. You guys didn't know I knew superstars like Matthew McConaughey. But I do. And why? Because I train people to load and explode. You should see I'm on Malibu Beach, loading, exploding with the best of them. That's how I met Matthew. Thanks, Matthew, for calling. Now, hopefully, there'll be no more interruptions. That would be great. Now we get started with the show. Are you guys ready? We're ready. Okay. So like I said, this is a big show. I'm happy to be here in Orlando, but we had to go worldwide, baby. We actually are simulcasting this presentation live around the globe. So what I want to do right now is take you guys all the way to one of our epicenters. We have stadiums full of people, and they're ready to load and explode. Let's go to, let's check Rogers Arena, Vancouver. They're ready to load, explode. Yes, Vancouver. Yes, we're with you. What about Vegas? Check Vegas. Is there a feed from Vegas? Check Vegas. There they are. MGM Grand. We're live at MGM Grand. Now, we'll check back at some of the other centers as the program goes, but I just want you to know you're not alone, okay? We're a family. What I want to do in this presentation, though, is really take you guys through the kind of the evolution of golf fitness. We know that our golfers need function. We've established that. We have great minds that have, really pioneered this idea of function, like some of my mentors, like Greg Rose, Gray Cook, Mike Voigt, people like Mike Boyle. Function first. We have to have functional fitness first. And then once we have function, we can add strength and power. We got this, right? How many seminars have you gone to or presentations have you gone to where you learned about how to make somebody more functional? Strength and conditioning, that stuff's easy. It's a recipe we've had for hundreds of years. I don't think we need another hour of that. The question you should be asking is this: what's next? What's next for you? Fitness people, what's next? This is your client. This is your client. Look how happy that baby is. That baby's happy because they're seeing something new and exciting when they enter your world. When they enter your gym for the first time and they see fitness for the very first time, it's new and exciting. They're like, what are we going to do today? What are we going to do today? And you're like, well, first I got to get my clipboard, because every trainer has to have a clipboard. And on that clipboard, as you can see, I've been training for a long time. It's got some stains on it. It's got broccoli stains, chicken stains, chicken, broccoli, out of Tupperware. This is what we do. We're fitness professionals. Well, we take that clipboard and we start our day. The client comes in. The client says, hey, today I want to lift. I want to have a good workout today, Jay. This is when I first started. I want a good workout. I'd be like, no problem, sir. We just got to do a little bit of cardio. No cardio. I'm not doing cardio. I want to lift today. I want to get stronger. No problem. We'll just get you warmed up here. Just get you warmed up on the treadmill for about 15 minutes. Just a light jog, 15 minutes. We won't do any cardio. What do you mean you don't want to run? You don't want to run? No more run. I promise you, no more running. So when you're done that 15 minutes, we're going to walk on over to the elliptical over here, and we'll get on the elliptical for 15 minutes. I know you said no cardio. But we're gonna like ramp this thing up. It's gonna be like leg day. You're gonna get the burn like never before. It's gonna be great. We'll get you on that elliptical for about another 15 minutes. You'll have like quadzilla burn. But now you're full of lactic acid. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk you over to the spin bike and we're gonna just spin out that lactic acid for you. Another 15 minutes. And after that, we should have about 10 minutes left to do a cool down. But next time you come in, we're doing cardio. We did that because we didn't know what else to do. We had our clipboard and a conversation on the treadmill. That's it. But they were still like, wow, this is great. But what happens to that client a year later? Are they still looking like this? Are they still excited? You're like, oh, they're just bored of my workouts. Now what am I going to do? You're changing your workouts because you think that they want novelty. They want something new. So you go and get a new certification. I'm now a kettlebell trainer. Huh? We're going to do our push-ups on kettlebells now because I'm a kettlebell trainer. But I'm only going to coach you with one arm because I don't want to drop my board. This is what we did. And guess what? These guys were getting bored. They're kind of like, huh? A little bit. Like, I'm kind of enjoying myself a little bit. It's not as exciting, though. We need to give them something fresh and new. Things that were exciting at first get really old quick. I remember when I've been married for 21 years. And I remember when I first got married, I'd get out of the shower, show her the helicopter, and she was like, wow, how are you doing that? It's like magic. After 20 years, she's like, I know, honey, I can see you. I can see you. I know you can make it spin. That's great. She's like, this is you. This is your clients. After years of doing the same crap over and over again, this is what it is. So what I thought this week, what I'd do is I'd present to you what I believe is the next level. What is the next level of training? But I warn you, what I'm going to show you is dangerous if you don't do the precursors for this. If you don't help people understand how to move in their body first, we're going to cause some injuries and we're going to cause some problems. So I want you all to verbally sign a disclaimer for me. That you're not going to give these exercises. You're not going to take what I'm going to show you now and just give it to random people that don't deserve it. You have to earn the right to rotate. You have to earn the right to high triplexity training. So let me take you through my system. Yes, I believe in function. So when I show you what I'm showing you today, I'm not anti-function. I am the functional guy. I love function. But I don't think we have to discuss that today. I want to show you something cool, something novel, something exciting. Strength and conditioning, I believe in it. I strength train with my athletes. I'm known as the minimal dose guy, the guy that doesn't add resistance to my athletes. But I actually do. But I truly believe that high triplexity training, a coined term that I made up myself, sure enough, I did make it up myself. But here's the point. I didn't have a noun, a verb, or anything that I could describe the type of training that I was doing because it wasn't strength and power training. It wasn't correctives and functional training, but I was getting incredible results and speed. And in fact, when I applied high triplexity training to my athletes before they went into strength and conditioning, we got the same results that they did after strength and conditioning. So quite often, I can eliminate the strength and conditioning portion, the traditional strength and conditioning model, and get the same results. You guys want to see what we're doing? Share the exercises with you? But like I said, don't just take the exercise, it's the concept behind it. You have to understand where it comes from. Everybody knows what this is, a golf cart. What happens when you take a golf cart and you try and make it drive faster? You ever take it down a hill and just pin it? What happens? It slows down. So I'm trying to go faster and the golf cart is slowing down. It's because it has something called a governor. And that governor, what it does is it actually slows down the engine and it almost brakes, like adds braking to the engine so that I can slow down and run safely because they don't want you to injure yourself. But I'm going to show you guys a little secret. Again, disclaimer, I'm warning you. If you lift the seat up on any golf cart and you pull on that cord right there, just give it a little tug, and that thing will be like, yeah, baby. You'll be flying. But you might just have a little accident with that kind of power. It's irresponsible to do that, isn't it? It's irresponsible to give a golf cart that kind of power. We can't do this. We can't do this to our clients. But But I'm going to show you some stuff that's going to help you blow the governor off your athletes. It's important that you do that. Each and every one of us has to blow the governor. Don't mind if I do. Get to the chopper. Oh, geez, another call?
Jay, did you just tell another freaking brutal joke?
Mike.
Did you just, like, are you torturing these poor people? You can stop whenever you're ready.
Why does everybody think they're bad jokes? He must be watching it probably in Boston. Are we live in Boston, guys? We're live in good. Okay, thanks, Mike, for that, ruining my show. This is what everybody wants. They want more horsepower. They want a bigger engine. Strength and conditioning is about that, putting a bigger engine in our athletes. I'm telling you right now, you will get better performance out of your athletes and more speed if we just work on the chassis, if we work on the suspension and its ability to handle the speed that it already possesses. And when you really want to amp up the power of your athlete, you put a bigger braking system in. This is the secret to power. Now, I've presented this material before, like as Lance alluded to. I've presented how to get better brakes. What I have never presented before is some of the stuff that I felt, if I put it out there to the world, someone's going to misuse it. I'm going to give you a gift of power that, used incorrectly, could hurt somebody. So again, disclaimer. I'm going to take you through entirely the way I see we can build the best athletes in the world. This, to me, is a complete athlete, what you're looking at right there. My Load and Explode program, my workshops, I teach people how to load and explode. And I'm going to take you through the basic fundamentals. I think every single athlete, as a baseline, has to have form, function, and foundation. That foundation is this. They need to eat clean, they need to sleep like it's their job, and they have to stay hydrated. If you have that, we have a foundation that we can now build an athlete from. I also believe that we have to have strength, we have to have power training, but really it's the high triplexity training that I want to share with you today. So don't think I exclude those other elements. We are going to go deep into the high triplexity training in this presentation. But I also believe that there's a new way of coaching that information that is way more important than the actual exercises themselves. We can coach somebody subconsciously. Any Zumba instructors in the crowd? Yes, we got a Zumba instructor in the crowd. Fantastic. What's wrong with the rest of you? You hate people exercising with smiles on their faces? Is this such a bad idea? So if you're going to do a grapevine, and you're like, da-na-da-na-da-ka, da-na-na-na-na, da, ba-na-na-na, what should I have for dinner? And you're thinking about, what am I going to make? What am I going to, when I get home, I got to pick up the kids. You can do that. That's called unconscious training. You can think of other things while you're doing it. Jogging, unconscious training. But conscious training, that's when our nervous system, the input from our brain is coming into my body. I'm using the ground, I'm using movement, and I have to react to it and be conscious of the movements I'm doing. That's conscious training. But what I'm doing with my athletes now is I'm training it at the next level. I'm training it where it's reactive. You saw Liam earlier with ping pong balls. That's reactive. That's advanced training. But it's being reactive so much that what I found with my athletes, the more reactive training I do, guess what? They become predictive. Wayne Gretzky was one of the greatest hockey players ever. And he was great not because he was faster, stronger, better. It's because he predicted where the puck would be before it got there. That's what made him great. So I thought, what if I could do that with my golfers, actually make them predictive? Get your brain thinking, folks. Last but not least, we have this. You could have all the elements in the world. You could have the strongest, best athlete in the world. If they can't dream big and actually believe that they can do it, they got nothing. How many people have worked with a fantastic athlete? They had every attribute you could ask for, but they just didn't believe in themselves, and they never made it. I'm telling you right now, you go to the web.com, there are guys that hit the ball farther and better than the guys on tour. The difference is up here. They don't believe it. So in my model, we have to, as coaches, we have to coach them to dream big, that you can do this. We need to coach them to be undeniable, which means when shit goes bad, they have to be able to rise above it. And lastly, they have to be able to over-deliver. So you want to win a PGA Tour event, great. What's next? Win a major? Or is there more? We have to over-deliver on everything we do as coaches, and we have to instill that in our athletes. So we're going to do a dream big right at the very end of this session. It could be the most important presentation I've ever done in my life, because I'm really hoping that we can help you dream bigger in your careers. That is a complete athlete. That's what I'm trying to get when I start my Load and Explode program with my athletes. So let's go into kind of the nuances, the things that I need to find in my athletes. Let's look at the most important part of a golf swing. My goal in life is to find the physical attributes that make the best in the world perform at the highest level. That's my job as a strength coach. I'm a strength coach and a performance coach. So to do that, I want them to deliver maximum force at the moment of impact. Isn't that kind of the most important part? Can you imagine if we just worked on backswings all day? Oh, great, he's got a fantastic backswing. It looks great. I mean, he gets it to the top. I mean, you just draw a line there. You could slot it in there. The clubs, the shafts, everything's in line. But if he can't bring it back to the ball at the moment of truth with power and force and repeat that action, it's useless. Take a look at baseball. I've researched this across all sports. When you see this, you see somebody hitting a home run. When I see this, I see what physical attributes would it require to get a body into this position and deliver force from that position. What about this? Look at that torque. Look at the lead foot. Look at the ankle on the lead foot. Look at the side bend in the body while it's delivering the most speed in the entire swing. Look at this. You're standing on a little tiny blade on the slipperiest surface you could find, and you're hitting a rubber puck as hard as you possibly can while someone's trying to cross-check you across the teeth. Do you think these guys might be a little bit of reactive, predictive, and then they want to deliver the maximum amount of force in that impact zone? I think so. So I look at that and I go, his shoulders have rotated while his lower body is trying to be as stable as possible on a skate rink. How can I help this player hit the puck harder? You guys just go, oh, I'll put him on a hockey program. That's not good enough. That's strength and conditioning. I'm talking about high triplexity. Let's coach him so that that moment of truth, he is performing at the highest level. What about golfers? A little more familiar. What about that posture? Look at the physical attributes that it would be required to get in that position at the speeds that Dustin Johnson swings that golf club. This is something I care deeply about, and I watch it with my golfers. Here's Adam Hadwin. Every time he hits balls, I record them, and I look at where's his pelvis, where's his pelvis angles, what is his spine like? At the moment of truth, at impact, what body positions is he in, and am I doing my part to maximize that position? So what would you do? If you had to invent an exercise for this, trying to maintain, think about it, his pelvis is side bent, and his spine is twisted. How would we create an exercise that would help in that position? Just think in your head right now. Do you have your favorite exercise for that? Have you even thought about this before? Would this be a good exercise? Yes or no? In your mind, is that a good exercise? Conventional strength conditioning would say this is contraindicated. And I agree. This could be a very dangerous thing to do for your athlete. So is it good or bad? I don't know. What if your golfer had this? What if this was their trademark move, and this is where they got their power from? I had the opportunity to work with Brooke Henderson when she was 13 years old until she became an adult. And I'll tell you what, she had that same thing. Her head was falling off. And when I saw her head falling off, I said to the coaches, I got to build a body that will withhold the forces and the speed that she's putting through that golf ball while her head is dipped under beneath her shoulders. So what kind of exercise do I create for an athlete like that? Is this a good exercise? I mean, it's basically the same posture. Would that be a contraindicated exercise? What about this? Trying to get this athlete to get up on one leg. Look at the pelvis. The pelvis is dipped. The left hip is high, right hip is low, while the body is in complete flexion and rotation. How can I train that? Would that be a good exercise? Would this help our athlete get into that posture? Is that safe? Is that a good plank? I don't know. You tell me. Is this something you would apply to your golfer? That is the big question. What about this one? Do you guys like this exercise? Would you put your golfer in that position? Ask yourself that question. How many people use this exercise? It's a curtsy lunge. I've been using it with my athletes for the last 2 years, specific athletes, that is, that have been with me for more than 4 years, and I use this exercise. But then, a colleague of mine, somebody that I really respect, Robert Yang, somebody who I go to on a regular basis for information and to help me with my athletes, and he puts up on his social media, which I highly recommend, it's fantastic. His Instagram posts are amazing. He puts up the curtsy lunge could be the absolute worst exercise you could ever do with your clients. Take it out of your training. Don't ever do it again. What's up, Rob? You don't like my exercises? Oh. Well, why don't you come on up here, big boy? Huh? I would love it. Come on up, my man. I mean, I can't dish you in front of all these people and then have you come up here and, just have to. You're good. You're good. Guys, don't even think about it. Just leave him alone. He's fine. He's welcome to come on stage. Give Robert Yang a round of applause, everybody. Seriously, Robert, we actually, after you put that post up, I called you.
Right, he called me. Seriously, he did call me.
I called him, and I asked him, I said, apparently you don't like curtsy lunges. And I was just like, what is it that you don't like? What is it that irritates you about the curtsy lunge so much? And you have some good reasons. What don't you like about this exercise?
Right, so just a quick review of the post. So what I said in the post was that with the curtsy lunge, as you're coming down here, that your pelvis drops. So if you know anything about gait analysis, when you're coming to here, you heel strike. If you get a Trendelenburg, that's obviously not a good position. And so my point in the post was, as you're here and you come down here, you're allowing the pelvis to drop. So if I turn from the back side, it's here. You go back to here. Woo. Pelvis is uneven, Jay. And then you're getting some shearing forces in the SI joint. So you do have to be careful. And so I said that I see this quite often with quite a bit of females with quite a bit of load on their back. And so that's one of my big concerns, especially if they do have current SI joint pain or low back pain with some of these female clients or athletes.
Well, that's a good point there, Robert. But what if you had to do this for a living?
But I don't.
But what if your client did?
That's true.
Would you train them in that posture, or would you find another way to train them?
That's a great question. Looking at the picture, I would say I think the biggest difference that we've seen in all the pictures that you've shown is that this is unloaded.
Unloaded, okay.
Right. So in this position, I would say, well, one, do they have current back pain or history of back pain? And then the other part of it is, are they stable in other positions?
But you wouldn't put them in that position I just showed you a minute ago.
In the other position, I say it would highly depend on the person in front of me.
The curtsy lunge.
The curtsy lunge. Absolutely.
Now, I'm open to this. This is how I learn. You have to be open to other people's opinions. But when they don't agree with you, you get them off your... Guys, get them out of here. Get them...
No, it's...
No. Out. We're done. Out. No. Yeah. Yeah, they're yours. Hey. You take care of your staff, is what we're getting at. Thank you, Robert. Here's the deal, folks. When I play around with these exercises, I don't know if it's right or wrong. That's why you have an advisory board. But I do know this. Rain falls in real time. That is like just the way the world works, right? It's measurable. It is science. When rain falls, it falls at the same speed all around the world. Doesn't matter what day it is, it's going to fall at the same speed. But when we look at rainfall and we analyze rainfall, that's science. What I'm doing in my job, because I'm not a scientist like Robert, what I do is I do something a little different. It's like spitting from a bridge. How many people have spit off a bridge just to see how far down it really is? Yeah. If you spit off a bridge, which is a lot of fun, by the way, can you at least acknowledge the fact that, oh my God, I'm way up here? I don't know exactly how many meters I am, but I definitely know that I'm way up there. So with my athletes, I don't know if it's the greatest, best, perfect exercise, but all I know is that they're getting better results than my other exercises, and they're getting better, and they're not getting injured, and they're having incredible speed development. So the rest of this presentation, please note, I'm spitting off a bridge just to see how far down it really is. So let's go into it. I'm going to show you the exercise that I use to deliver maximum force through impact. First things first, I feel like our athlete has to be able to maintain postures and maintain the postures that we use to deliver force. So I like this. For SFMA people in the crowd, you might know some of these exercises. I take my athlete through flexion and extension. I take them through multi-segmental rotation in both directions, and I also put them through something that other people are not testing, which is dynamic side bend. Multi-segmental side bend. I think this is probably one of the most important screens that I add to my athletes. The ability to side bend under control could be one of the most important aspects, physical attributes I can give my athlete. Side bend test. What I'm looking for here is a uniform curvature of the spine. I'm looking for that the hips are going to move out as far as they possibly can, and the spine is going to be this beautiful curve without, it doesn't look like Lego blocks, like chunks of little bits of body. It's just going to be this beautiful curve. This is Andrew Putnam, a PGA Tour player. And what he's doing is, in the gym, we test him before we do our side bend exercises. And we also test him at the same time on the range and right before he goes to play. We want to see and give him an awareness of what dynamic side bend feels like. This is not dynamic side bend. We have a quarterback in the NFL, and we have an aspiring pro. Look at the movement patterns here. What was different about Andrew's movement and these rotary animals, if you will? What is it? I like to take like, when I look at an athlete and they're moving, what I see is this. I see them either hanging in a joint, I call it. It's like this, just the joint is holding them up. Or they're active in the joint, which means that the joint is holding them up. The muscles, the structures that control the joint are holding them up. There's a big difference here. So, where's Brendan Marcello? Brendan Marcello, come on up here. Brendan? Is Brendan Marcello? No? Hey, guys, can you go on my Skype and just call Brendan for me? Thank you.
Yo, Jay.
Hey, is it good timing?
Yeah, of course it's a good time.
You're supposed to be here, buddy.
Wait, we were supposed to talk stability, weren't we? Yeah, that explains why
he has one job.
Why all those people are behind you there.
Yeah, you had one job, buddy. One job. Just be on time.
Well, I can't really see the slides from here, but you know what? Give me a second, okay? I'll be right there.
Yeah, well, let's waste some more time. Fantastic.
Well, I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body. I know not everybody has got a body like you, but I gotta think twice.
Hold on, dude. You have your own theme song? What do you think this is? You gotta have faith. Who has their own theme song? Brendan, I brought you up here for a reason. Because look at the screen here. Look at these side bends.
Right.
I saw you do a presentation at Perform Better, at a Perform Better Summit, and it blew my mind. And from this day, I'll never see people move the same again. And you went into depth about dynamic stability and passive stability and static stability. And just look at these people here. I mean, you're the #1 expert I know on looking at some of these postures and how, like, actually the body would create that posture. What would you think about these athletes? Is this vulnerability, or what? Or is this dangerous? What do you think?
Well, I think the easy way of looking at it is simple. Is when we talk about stability, do you control the movement, or does the movement control you?
Hey guys, write that down. Great, thanks.
So if you can control the movement or own the movement, as we hear people say, then you're fine. If you can show competency, you're fine.
So if they can do that without compensation, but that looks like they're compensating.
Sure, if they're hanging on joints like you mentioned, right? So it's like static stability, can we prevent undesirable movement?
Yes.
Dynamic stability, can we allow wanted movement? So you put the two together, and then hopefully you'll have some quality movement or function, as you mentioned earlier.
Okay, well, while I got you, what do you think of these guys? Is that good? Like, I don't know, is that quality, or what are we looking for here?
Again, if they can control it, if they're not hanging on joints, if they're not going to end range trying to reach stability, if they're not trying to compensate, and they're doing it clean, they're in a good spot.
Well, the guy in the gray shirt, he has scoliosis. And when I put him in this position, what I find is like, basically his entire T-spine is just one straight line. And now he has to find like another joint to go from, and I'm always concerned about that joint maybe being vulnerable, because it's like he's hanging in one or two segments of the body.
It's extra wear and tear on that one tire, if you will.
But he plays golf for a living, so shouldn't I train him to maybe be able to handle that position better?
Yes.
Fantastic. So you tell me what, while I got you up here, I'm going to show you an exercise. That exercise right there, if we want a better side bend from the pelvis. If she can control her pelvis, the pelvic floor, and isolate that joint, would that be a safe exercise for her?
If it's needed, and if they can perform it well, absolutely 100%.
What about this? If we just focus just on T-spine, just doing these little side bends over the forward leg.
If it's needed and they can execute it properly, absolutely.
So you're making your point here that we can't just give this to any exercise or any athlete. We have to give this to somebody that we've actually done the precursors, where we've trained them to be able to control their pelvis better. We've trained them to have real great awareness of how they side bend through their T-spine. Agreed? So this right here, let me just see here. That right there, good or bad, folks? When I first showed you this picture, were you maybe a little bit, I don't know, Jay? And now that we've kind of gone through the philosophy behind it, can we at least spit off a bridge and understand that putting our athlete in this position, doing it responsibly, could actually enhance their ability to control side bend, control those postures? I say this is a good one. You agree?
Absolutely.
If we're trying to generate this in our golfers and we're trying to avoid this position, I think we're going to do them a lot of justice if we're able to get them into this position safely. Cool? Brandon Marcello, everybody. Give him a round of applause. Thank you. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of feel like it's koozie time. Who wants a koozie? Who wants a koozie? Look at this. Oh, look at the guys in the back. They're like, koozie time, koozie time, koozie time. There, wow. I know I don't pay you guys a lot, but wow, I thought you guys would be way more enthused about koozies. While we're doing this, is that a phone call? That wasn't for me, by the way. You guys weren't excited about koozies, but I'll tell you who is excited about koozies. People from England. O2 Arena, we're doing a koozie drop. We're doing a koozie drop. Drop the koozies! Drop the koozies! Drop the koozies! Yes! I got to be honest with you, I was kind of hoping you guys would have done the same, but apparently not. Okay. America is like, oh, we go over the koozie. Okay, whatever, big deal. So we need the ability to side bend, yes? We need to be able to side bend. We also have to be able to side bend and rotate. That is part of the equation. So let's take a look at the rotation test. SFMA people, you guys are like, yeah, I've seen this before. Great. We can determine whether somebody has quality multi-segmental rotation by doing a simple test of feet together, rotate, look behind you, rotate the other direction, look behind you. That's simple. But to train rotation or not train rotation is a deeper question. Celine Dion said that a long time ago. And I go to her often for, she's a deep philosophical soul, but when she said train or not train rotation, it blew my mind, and it really took me down this path of what is rotary training, and should we really even be doing it? Should we be doing rotary training with our athletes? Somebody who takes a golf club, swings it absolutely as hard as they can, over and over and over again, hundreds of times a day. Am I then going to take them in the gym and start throwing medicine balls as hard as I possibly can in a rotary fashion? You're going right now, no, but when you go back to your gym, you're like, uh-huh. I believe in deceleration training and eccentric loading when I do rotational training. Let me show you a couple examples. This is Andrew Putnam doing an anti-rotation Palloff press. So I want you to pay attention to something here. Everybody's done Palloff presses before. Get your feet shoulder width apart. Get into an athletic stance. Have the resistance at 90 degrees. When you press your arms out, you've created a long lever. That long lever is going to try to force you to rotate towards the source of the resistance. What I want my athlete to do is to actually allow the resistance to win, but do it under control, just like Brendan Marcello said. If they can control it, then there's a benefit to it. But I don't want them doing a rotary chop on the way back because they already have enough of that in their game, in their practice, being on the range. So what I do is I unload it by bringing it to the chest. I turn it back to center. So now it's not been a rotational load in a concentric fashion. I then press it out. Now we're into isometrics, incredible load on the muscles. And then the eccentric load is when we're actually developing strength and power. In this case, we're removing or blowing the governor. Don't mind if I do. How about this exercise? Here's Adam Hadwin doing a negative chest press. Everyone goes, well, that's just a cable press. It's not a cable press because look at his face. Do you think that's conscious training or subconscious training? Unconscious or conscious? Definitely conscious. He is 100% focused because he's trying to control and make the smoothest eccentric movement he possibly can. Now, unfortunately, at some point you have to bring it back forward. But it's all about the intent. It's not about the exercise, it's about the intent of the exercise. So as a coach, don't just give them an exercise, say, I want you to control the eccentric load. Smooth, 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 smooth. Hold it, slowly, slowly, slowly. No, you're getting side bend or you're flexing and extending. I need you to get quality movement here. And he moves beautifully. So this eccentric load is something that myself and my teammate Harry Say put into his exercise program on a daily basis so that he can control and understand rotation better. We also do it in there's the Palloff press again, the negative Palloff press. And on the other side, we have a negative row. The scapula is being protracted outside away from his spine and then retracted back towards it. It is that eccentric load of the scapula protracting that is going to enhance our ability to retract that scapula at high speeds. We are building the braking system and the suspension system of the scapular retractors. So valuable. How about this exercise here? This is an amazing exercise. You lay on your back. You get your knees at 90 degrees. You're laying on your back. I have the dumbbell in one hand. And in that one hand, what we do is we get the legs, they're sitting on a Swiss ball. The pelvis rotates to the left while the arm wide flies to the right. This is disassociation and control it back to center. Disassociation and back to center. Controlled rotation with the upper body becoming stabilized with the wide fly. What we're doing is, if you think of a rotational sling, we are opening up this entire upper sling, this anterior sling here, that is attached to the pelvis that is now lengthening that sling and back. We use the ground as a base so the athlete doesn't have to worry about flexion and extension. That's been covered by the ground. But over time, we want to get them off the ground, just like we use in the 4x4 system at TPI. We want to get them back off the ground and then elicit some of those same concepts again in a quadruped position and standing position. Very, very powerful. We also want our athletes to be able to do this: flex and extend with force. So we've already looked at side bend, we looked at rotation, but we also need flexion and extension. So we have a flexion extension test. Touch the toes or extend. And we can determine whether it's good or bad just by looking at these athletes. Were they able to touch their toes? Yes or no? TPI level 1. Were they able to extend with their pelvis being the farthest part forward and their shoulder blades being past their heels in an SFMA extension test? These are very, very important for me to see on a daily basis. How is my athlete moving today? So if we're looking at flexion and we want quality of flexion, would this be a good exercise? You tell me. Obviously, I believe it is because we put our athletes in it on a daily basis. This is called body hollowing, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of examples of that. We're all trying to deliver maximum force through impact. That is our goal. And apparently my Google Drive needs to be reset, which is very, very important while you're doing a presentation in front of 600 people and thousands around the globe. Millions, thank you, millions. So let's take a look at this. This is a way that I load my athlete in a body hollow rock. We actually go from a squat position, we go down in a squat position like so, and then we drive out like Superman, but we try and hollow out the body and get it as uniform and rounded as possible. But because the body is out in this position, guess what? We have incredible load like a plank, but it's in a suspended position with instability in the upper body. Try this one at home yourselves. Do not just throw this at your athletes. They will break if you haven't done core control exercises to lead them into this position. How about this? Another version of this, a bench one. A little bit more stable with the upper body, a little bit more load on the spine because we're getting a little more horizontal. So is this a good exercise? I think it is. But I'm going to take it to the next level for you. I'm going to show you the advanced versions of this exact exercise. Let's take a look at this. This is body hollowing at its best. T-spine, rounded. These are hollow body rocks. My goal of this exercise is for the hands and the feet to be as far away from each other as possible, meanwhile maintaining a flexed spine so you can smoothly rock from your lumbar, your butt, your lumbar, up to your T-spine, up to your shoulders, and back down. It takes incredible control. And when you first start doing this exercise, what you're going to feel is clunk, 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 clunk. And you're going to pike, and you're going to see people doing horrible, horrible things. But I guarantee you, if you take them through the right progressions, which I'm going to show you, what you're going to do is you're going to find that over a very short period of time, they're going to be able to maintain this position. And more importantly, maintain that position while rotated through impact. Here's Andrew Putnam doing the same exercise. A little clunkier, you can see how the back's a little flatter. So what we're going to do over time is try and get him into a better position, try to get that lower back in a better position. And how do we do that? We simply get our athlete on the back, we start doing pelvic tilts. The pelvic tilts lubricate that lower spine, get that lumbar into a rounded position. I always say I want them to put their belt buckle in their belly button. If you can do that and tuck it in like that, you're going to push that lower back down and round out the lower back. Then what we do is we go like we're going to dive into a pool. Hold our ears with our biceps and now get into a rocking position. That takes incredible, dynamic core control. Just like Brendan Marcello was talking about earlier. The dynamic core control is the best thing that we can do for our athletes. How about this? You want to go another level? Let's go a little heavier. Let's go a little bit bigger. How about this one? This is game week, by the way. Resist, fire, body hollow rock, controlled flexion, power flexion, controlled flexion. Now watch his face. Whew. Do you think that was challenging? I think so. Now, there's still another element to delivering power through in the impact zone. If you want to deliver power through the impact zone, you need to be able to deliver power into the ground, push off the ground, and drive it towards our target. So lateral power, but more importantly, the ability to decelerate in that lateral power movement is ideal. I want to show you something really, really powerful. Here we go. We've got a braking system, a lateral power test. In hockey, we use this lateral power test to determine how much power we can produce laterally. It's a lateral bound, single leg lateral bound, because on hockey you have one skate on the ice and you lateral bound. But what we're doing is landing on 2 feet. We measure how far you can jump from one side to the other. This is typical, it's standardized hockey power testing. But what I want to see is, can our athlete not just explode laterally, but can they decelerate laterally? So I do this. Stand on 1 foot, jump as far as you can, land and decelerate on 1 foot, hold for 3 seconds. If they can, we take a measurement. That is way more applicable to the game of golf. Drive off my right side, stabilize on my left side. And what I've found by doing these testing on all my athletes is that the 2-foot landing, boom, like so, for someone who has incredible acceleration, they're going to have a big number. But if they have poor decelerators, when they jump, they'll either reach the same spot and they can't stabilize, or it'll be shorter. But people with great braking systems, they can actually increase it by usually about 2 lengths of their own feet. So they go from here, boom, stabilize, 1, 2, 3, we take our measurement. The ones that can decelerate, why can they jump farther landing on 1 foot than 2? Because their nervous system trusts it. Their nervous system trusts that I can decelerate. Where the one that falls short, their nervous system says, if I jump on 1 foot, I'm going to break something. If your nervous system doesn't trust it, it's for a reason. It has a governor. And that governor is holding it back from delivering force. So let's take a look at this next one here. Let's say we have an athlete who, as they jump, they can't stabilize. They feel very insecure in that position. What are we going to do with that athlete? Are we going to train them to jump farther? Or are we going to teach them how to slow down? Are we going to teach them how to land? This quote means so much to me. He ain't weak. That's the starting point. And it was said to me by Fat Face Rick. Because Fat Face Rick is a coach like me. And every year when I'm training my juniors, I have juniors that come in my door and they look like they're weak. They've never exercised before. I try and do a lateral bound with them and they're like, oh, they don't even know how to push off. Their knee dives and they try to jump and they can't land on their foot. It looks so unstable, it looks horrible. They look like a giraffe being born. But I have the job of changing that. It is my job to change that. And I was watching one night, I'm watching HBO, and I watch The Wire, one of my favorite programs on HBO. The Wire. And Fat Face Rick was talking to Cuddy. I was going to show you the video of this, but unfortunately HBO would not clear the rights to this movie. So instead, what I'm going to have to do is recreate the scene for you today. As you can see, the bald gentleman, that's not me, that's Fat Face Rick. The other gentleman is Cuddy. Now, Fat Face Rick has the best gym in town. He is fantastic. He's a great trainer. But Cuddy, he's on the bad side of the tracks. And his kids just aren't developing as fast as Fat Face Rick. So, Fat Face Rick says, yeah, they all look pretty rough, but with the right breaks, they're all going to make it. How you figure? Well, try as they might, we ain't going to let them fail. You do that, it messes with the mind. Pretty soon, they're going to run out of the little bag of tricks. What do you think of that? He looks pretty weak. Pretty weak? That's a starting point. End scene. It stuck with me. I rewound it back 100 times. Almost wore out my VCR. Because it resonated with me. It resonated with the fact that I am training athletes and they are weak. But I can't see them as weak. It's just a starting point. And where they go from there, that's where we're going to end up. Just every athlete that you see on the world stage started somewhere. They ain't weak. That's the starting point. Let me show you this. This is a reactive drill that you can use with your athletes. If we do the same movement, remember conscious and subconscious training? If I use the same movement over and over again, is this conscious or subconscious? Am I consciously focused on landing where my heel is and how I'm driving? What do you think? Maybe for the first two, but the third through the next 12, we're totally unconscious. What about this? Movement. Changing the pattern. Every time they move, I change the pattern. That is conscious training. And as soon as I start seeing their eyes going like, oh, this is easy, then I switch up the pattern. I go, do it in reverse. Do it in reverse. Answer a couple questions for me while you're doing it. And if they can answer the questions, it tells me that they're no longer conscious, and I have to add more complexity. I have to bring in a higher complexity or a higher triplexity. And by doing that, I'm making my athletes better. Now, I could show you guys 10 more exercises, if you will. 10 more of my favorite exercises. Or we could jump ahead and go to dream big. What do you guys want to do? More exercises or dream big? Dream big? 10 more exercises or dream big. I've just showed you like the secrets of my power training. I'll tell you what. It sounds to me like the room's divided. We'll flip for it. And when we flip for it, I'm telling you right now, if it comes up heads, so this is a toonie. A toonie is like a loonie. In Canada, we have $1 loonies. But a $2 coin is a toonie because that's worth 2 loonies. It's a fact. So if Queen Elizabeth's face comes up on this toonie, we're going to go to dream big. But if the moose on the back comes up, we're going to go 10 more exercises. You guys in on this? But you have to trust and promise me that whatever the coin does, we do. All right, dream big it is. Let's go. Anybody ever see these? Anybody over the age of 40? You've probably seen these before. Anybody under the age of 25? These are called books. Yes. We used to get them in these imaginary places called libraries. These were my favorite books growing up. They're called Choose Your Own Adventure books. I love these books because what they did was they started with a simple story. And you started the story, and after maybe 4 or 5 pages, the story would ask you a question. Do you want to take option A? Go to page 42. If you want to take option B, go to page 56. And as you went through the book, you'd keep coming back to these questions. And when you made a decision, it would alter the course of the story. And it's very, very powerful. One of my favorite ones of all time was this one right here, The Cave of Time. I must have read this thing 100 times. Because I loved the fact that there was an adventure, and I had control over that adventure. It was very, very powerful for me as a young child. And if you went into the Cave of Time, you'd enter a cave, and you'd be like, should I even go in the cave? Or should I go around the cave? No, I'm going in the cave. Can we all agree? Like, we'd go in the cave, right? I mean, its story is called The Cave of Time. I'm not going to miss the whole part of the cave. But if you entered that cave, and you're presented with, on the left, a chest, a treasure chest, with a big pirate on it. Or, on the right-hand side, you have a Thai soccer team who's been in there for 7 days. Which one do you do? I'm sure you all agree, you go to the chest. You open up the chest, and as you open up the chest, it gives you some options. There is a golden goblet in there, but if I take the golden goblet, who knows what's going to happen? Well, sometimes I took the golden goblet and I went down an adventure. Other times I didn't, and it took me down a different adventure. It was really, really cool. All these books had a different adventure, and as a kid, I used to be able to explore, but it was my decision. That was the best part. It wasn't someone telling me a story, it was my story. I created that story. But the one that changed my life from that day forward was this one right here. You are going to die. Look at the tear coming out of that kid's eye. Why is he crying? Because he's going to die. I went through that book probably 20 different ways, and every way I did it, the kid died. So why was it one of my favorite books of all time? It was one of my favorite books of all time because of this. If you knew at the end of the story the kid was going to die, he's going to die anyways. Let's have some fun with him. No? Or are you going to play it safe? He's dying anyways. Should he go around the back of the barn with his uncle? Let's see what happens. I don't know. He's gonna die anyways. Have some fun. But it made a metaphor for the rest of my life. Because each person in this room, every single person in this room, this is your story. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna die. It's coming. So my question is this: are you gonna live your life with adventure? Are you gonna live your life to the fullest? Or are you gonna take the safe track and just hope it all works out at the end, and when I die, I go, it was a pretty good story. You can't start that book over. That book is done. And for a lot of you young coaches out there, younger than me, I'm in the last 3/4 of that book, and it's scaring the shit out of me. You have the entire story to create on your own. And I don't want you to take crazy risks in your life. Don't just go, oh, that's it, hon, we're getting a divorce and I'm buying a gym. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Calculated risks. Calculated risks, but allow yourself to dream so big that if you get to the end of your adventure, that there's some kind of pot of gold at the end. If you can do that, folks, you're dreaming big. And when you find that pot of gold, even when you get to the end of the book, you need to over-deliver on that. Over-deliver. Make that that story even better. When things are being presented to you, make it better. And be undeniable. So when that door won't open that you're trying to open, it doesn't open, you find a way to break through. I implore you to live your life this way. We're all going to die. Let's go on an adventure. This right here, the Coach Glass podcast, is my adventure. It's my adventure that I play out every single week. And I play it out for you. I don't get paid to spend a whole day in my office creating content and delivering it out for free on iTunes every single week. I don't get paid to do that. Sure, we have wonderful sponsors that help take care of some of the costs, but I do it out of the kindness of my heart because I don't have another option. I have to have some way to express myself. Because the stories that come back to me about people like yourselves who have made differences in their lives and changed their lives, even if I had one little ounce of just something that inspired you in some way to make a little bit of a leap of faith in yourself, a little bit of a leap of faith so you can go out and be the person you always wanted to be. It gets me up every single week to make the show. So I want to thank everybody, for all my listeners out there, for being a part of it. And also for being a part of my Load and Explode. If you guys want more of this, what you just heard today, I highly encourage you to spend time with me every single week and be a part of my community. Because it's a community like this that I learn from. It's a community like this that inspires me to get up every morning. And this has been one of the most incredible weeks of my life, with all the faces that have come up and said hi and all the new faces that I got to meet. It's unbelievable. And what Greg and Dave have created for all of us, it gives me goosebumps. Because like I showed in that slideshow at the start, in 2010, I got up here as like a young guy with hair. And I had a lab coat on, and I was shaking because I didn't know where it was all going to go, and I had no idea where I was going to end up. And 8 years later, I'm standing on the same stage again. Some of the same faces are here, and there's some new ones that we can now inspire and be great coaches. So, Greg, Dave, I can't thank you guys enough. My team, Mark Blackburn, Lance Gill, I can't thank you guys enough for being part of my family and allowing me to do this, which is my goal in life, inspire others to greatness. Thank you. Thanks, boys.
Welcome to the next level.
Thank you.